prime ministers had talked about Denmark has skills, India has scale. And then we developed the Green Strategic Partnership, which Honorable Prime Minister took over very, very early. We decided to add not only scale of India, that goes by saying, but also skills from Denmark, but skills from India as well. You're extremely good at bringing, defeaturing, affordability, resilience into a lot of things which we perhaps never have thought about in our part of the world.
Welcome to the Secretariat Talks. It's a pleasure for us to be hosting you today.
Thank you very much indeed. I'm so thrilled and happy to talk to someone from India and from the Secretariat.
So, Freddy, your stay in India, you've been here for a long time. How was your experience? Let's start with your experience in India.
When I came to India as ambassador first time in 2010, me and my wife and my youngest daughter, we had never ever been to India. So when we came to the posh new airport in Delhi, Indira Gandhi International Airport, we thought it was like everywhere else in the good world. And then we came out and we saw the Indian cars, the two-wheelers, the cows, the dogs, everything in a big kind of mess. And but then soon we realized that you should not just look for trash and the cows and all that. You should look much deeper into what kind of culture, what kind of society is constituting what we saw as India at that time. So after a while, having crisscrossed most of India, I came to the conclusion that we came to a country, but we lived in a nation. And what do I mean by a nation? It was also based on the experiences we had when we participated, not physically, but we were watching the Republic Day parades in Delhi, and we saw how strong the unity, but also diversity of the modern India was. And having really looked into and tried to explore that by traveling, crisscrossing India, not only to the metropoles, everybody can go there, but also go deep into the countryside and the rural sites. Then you realize that this is a living civilization. And when we left first time in 2015, I was interviewed by Doordarshan, and I said, this is a living civilization. And why? Because you have traditions that are dating thousands of years back and still being followed, still being developed, and still being part of everyday's life. And when you talk to people, people would not necessarily know too much about India, but they know about yoga. Thanks to the World Yoga Day of the 21st of June, which we are celebrating each and every year, thanks to Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So yoga has become an integral part of almost each and every person across the world's daily life. Then you have your dishes, your vegetarian lifestyle, and I mean, it's an eye opener. If you learned it early on in Europe or in the US to have some vegetarian food, you would have some salad, and that was that. But now it's become not only an industry, but also become a kind of a lifestyle and so forth. So India, thanks to its culture, you have given a lot of well-being in the sense of good mental health, good healthy diets to all of us. So India is not only about access to markets or economy, innovation and all that. It's also a power center of human well-being. And I'm so grateful that we had the chance to experience that and to be part of that. So that's a little bit how I see India.
Freddy, at the same time, when we're talking about Viksit Bharat, you've spoken about Viksit Bharat, and the focus primarily is on trade, and the new issues now that have come up like climate, AI. Now, how do you think India and Denmark can forge ahead together in creating a better place and a better cooperation to handle these issues which have come up?
I recall when I met Honorable Prime Minister first time, that was in May 2011 when he was still the Chief Minister of lovely, great Gujarat. And we were discussing how to take our relationship, which was not the best at that time, to the next level. And then we were focusing on the green transition, which was also an integral part of Narendra Modi's chief minister era in Gujarat. So we started working on that. And where can Denmark and India cooperate? There are a lot of fields. First and foremost, we are together, Denmark and India, we are one-sixth of the global population. Of course, you bring in a lot of more people than we do. We are only 60 lakh, but combined. And at some point in time, your Honorable Prime Minister, when he became Prime Minister, had talked about Denmark has skills, India has scale. And then we developed the Green Strategic Partnership, which Honorable Prime Minister took over very, very early. We had the first meetings in 2020, and he took over that kind of let's say, a new way of dealing bilaterally between two countries. So we decided to add not only scale of India, that goes by saying, but also skills from Denmark, but skills from India as well. You're extremely good at bringing, defeaturing, affordability, resilience into a lot of things which we perhaps never have thought about in our part of the world. And then speed, because we also, with this green transition, green strategic partnership, we're focusing on how to make things run faster, because the climate change, as you also mentioned, is a huge, huge issue. And we see a number of big, big negative impacts hitting Indians' daily lives, floods, landslides, whatever. We also have it in our part of the world. And then scope, because it could not just be for Denmark and India, it should be beyond that. And second, or fifthly, I must say, then we added sustainability, because we have to live in pact with our nature, our planet, and that is what Denmark and India can do together. And we have come very, very far. So I'm proud to be part of that.
India is hoping that it'll get a lot of expertise and skill set on this, especially on green energy, on because India has stiff targets on achieving the net zero target by 2070. So India would be hoping to get a lot of expertise and knowledge base from Denmark. How do you see this cooperation coming up?
When I was the ambassador and I left early this year as ambassador, I think we have come very, very far. Well, there were a lot of pillars constituting Green Strategic Partnership, a number of joint working groups, programs, and so forth. And financially, we supported experts with the Ministry of Power in Delhi. We also supported the Jal Jeevan mission and so forth. So we have a lot of skills from Denmark. The challenge that we have is, of course, that we have always been striving at the highest level of technology, so high tech, but that does not necessarily respond to the needs of Indians living in rural UP as an example, or in Gujarat, because of rightly so, you have always to look into affordability. Can we afford it? Can it be done in a cheaper way? Not quality wise, but why do we have to put a lot of features in which are nice to have but not need to have? So there, India can offer a lot of things that will go beyond India. So if you get it right in water and energy, grid stability, wind turbines, solar panels, green hydrogen, whatever and whatnot, then we can do a lot together. But it's not so that Denmark comes here and say to India, please do as we did. We would like to be a source of inspiration, but we'd also like to be inspired by India. And that's important, that we have a balanced relationship. And I think when I left, we had reached that, and that's so important also for the future.
Talking about trade, I mean, the EU, if India FTA talks are on, there have been many stumbling blocks. I mean, it's been going on for years now. Do you think that coming in any kind of shape in the near future, the trade deal, especially talking about today with such geopolitical, geoeconomic challenges coming up?
I certainly do hope it will come. I don't think it's a quick fix to all the challenges, but it's part of a joint journey towards a more kind of stability. Because if you can have a system in place, structures in place where you can trade and you have a kind of agreement as to tariffs, market access, and so forth, all evidence will show and tell you that it's a benefit. As you rightly said, it has been going on for ages. I think it started in 2007. EU decided in 2013 that it was not the worthwhile really to continue. And then the politicians, the leaders of governments in Europe said, no, no, we need to have this. And then now negotiations are going on. Hopefully, we'll see something, but it's not a quick fix, and it's not easy to land these things. But India did an FTA recently with UK, and I think that's a good thing. Geopolitically, of course, it seems that each country, each nation is really defining its own interests more vigorously than before. We have seen how tariffs are playing a role in geopolitics, and if you don't do that, then I'd slash your 200% extra tariff on your products and so forth. And it doesn't really serve anybody's interest. The more we cooperate, the more we are aligned, the better for the world and better for the people. In Andhra Pradesh, you have a huge export of shrimps, and suddenly they were tariffed with a high number, and that almost killed that industry. Take also your textile industry, which is, of course, also hot hidden. Therefore, I like the idea that we should have collaboration, EU and India. Yes, we have divergent views on a number of things, but there are more aspects binding us together. And if we can trade, we'll have a safer world and a better world with a better outcome and a better positive impact for each and every in the world. So I hope to see it very soon.
Danish companies, there are several of them operating in India. Investments from Denmark have increased in India. How do you see this going ahead in the years to come? Do you think it's going to increase further, and in which areas?
I mean, when I left as ambassador, I think we counted close to 200 Danish companies operating in India. Many of them, they had been there for years, for ages. I mean, they came in even before the British were kicked out. We have seen a huge investment in green sectors like wind industry. Now China and Chinese products have taken over. Why did that happen? It's not because India forced Danish companies or Western companies out. No, it was because Western companies invested a lot and shared a lot of technologies with China, and Chinese companies, state-owned companies, they did it by excellence, so they made it cheaper and also quality-wise had the same standards as we normally claim we are good at. So by trading, by building up ties with China, we were so lucky. Not everyone would agree to that point, but we were lucky that the Chinese had the scale so they could also take our innovations and make them cheaper and more affordable, but also better. So that's what we are seeing. But in the future, I think we will still see a lot of investments from Denmark, of course, related to the green sectors. It has to do with how to fight the climate changes, how to preserve water. India has a huge land mass, but the total your share of the global water resources in no way matching. I think it's, you have close to 18% of the global land masses, whereas your share of the global water resources down to 4%. So how do you really take benefit from what we are good at in Denmark, namely to preserve our water resources and so forth. So I see a lot of investments, and personally, I also, and I've been arguing that in favor of we should do much more in defense, homeland security, surveillance, quantum computing, and so forth. But then you often would jump into geopolitics, strategic issues, and so forth. And I think we have to let all that go. We need to find all levels of cooperation where is it needed, because the more we work with India, the better the world will be. And there's no area where India can't be and should not be part of the equation for growth, sustainability, and better livelihood for tons of people.
India as a market, when you compare it with China, how do you feel? Because China, of course, is much ahead in terms of wooing investors, in terms of ease of doing business. Compared to China, how would you rate India?
I think it's important to keep in mind there is a difference. China is a communist ruled regime. India is a democracy, the world's largest democracy. I've lived there. I've seen how your democratic processes and the elections are happening each and every day almost across your continent. And that of course is a fundamental difference. In a democracy, you can't just rule everything and say go that way and then ignore whatever a challenge there might be. Secondly, when India became independent in 1947, you were literally left with nothing. And how to build up a nation at that time, perhaps you were 500 or 600 million people, or a little bit less at that time, but you were suffering from hunger, you were suffering from really, there was no structure left except what the British left behind, the railways, the administrative structures, and English. But that was perhaps just some small parts of a big nation that were still suffering from the partition. India built up, but the West did not really help India. So Russia, Soviet Union came in, and you build up your heavy industries and so forth. You became a leading partner in the non-aligned movement and so forth. And there you defined a very important aspect of also modern India, namely strategic independence. So you have decided really to define your own national interests, whether it's within economy, energy, whatever, what serves India and our development best, we have to take care of. And I don't like the idea that India is a market. India is no longer a marketplace. India is a place where you have to invest money, you have to bring your technologies, you have to create jobs. You have so many youngsters joining the labor market every month. You have to do skilling and so forth. So don't think you can come, and that was my clear message to companies. You can't come and sell your products and then get your money out as a profit later on. You have to invest in this nation, because if India fails, then the whole planet will fail as such. So of course, China and India cannot be compared, should not. You have very different trajectories. But I hope that the investments that the West undertook in China would be replicated and made even better when it comes to India. And I am very optimistic about that, also for Danish companies, but also for the West in general. But don't forget, India is no longer just a marketplace.
India Nordic Summit, which has now taken shape. I mean, of course, just a few of these summits have happened, but how do you see this shaping a kind of a cooperation between the Nordic countries and India overall?
Overall, I think it's the best way forward, in the sense that the five Nordic countries, they are combined, constituting a G12. You have G10, one of the most important economies of the world. But if you combine the five Nordics, you will find them at the position of the being a G12. So we have a strong economic power. We are extremely innovative. We have very globalized companies, and they have been crisscrossing here, there, and everywhere. And we have no hidden geopolitical agenda. So we are talking real sense, not nonsense. And I think that's what also India is looking for. We have had a number of these summits, the first one in Stockholm and then in Copenhagen in 2022. What I feel a little bit sorry about is that we never managed, and this is not the fault of India in no way, but we did not manage really to create a common Nordic platform because we were so focused on having our Narendra Modi coming to the Honorable Prime Minister to our capitals and then have the bilaterals, and nobody really took any interest. Despite we tried from our side, tried to build up a platform that will secure that these summits will deliver a common strategy, a common agenda, and not just independent statements, declarations from each and every summit. And I do hope that the next summit, which will happen in Norway, that will yield some more tangible results. So it's not only about applauding that the big leader of the global south and in between, Narendra Modi, came to my country. We have to build up and we have to take India seriously and not just having a party or a vegetarian dish once in a while. We need to have a menu card, and let's do that.
One last question, Freddie. The Green Strategic Partnership has been talked about. It's a much hyped, collaboration between India and Denmark. Uh, how do you see this coming in shape in the near future?
When we started discussing it and the idea evolved, there was not too much of support because people said on our side, "What is that? There's nothing new." But it was something very new, and Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi took it over very, very, very speedily. So there was a buy-in from the Indian side, big time. I think it constitutes a structure that cannot just be maintained as structure. You have to develop it. And therefore, one of the last things I said when I stepped down as ambassador in India was, let's have a green strategic partnership between India and the Nordics, because combined with all the skills that we have in the Nordics and what India is striving at, I think we could take this green strategic partnership to the next level. So, and we are only 60 lakh people in Denmark. If you're in Ahmedabad or wherever you are, this is a drop in a big ocean. So, how could we still maintain the view that we are so important that we should not really take our relationship to the next level? So, therefore, my strongest wish is that we will see it expanding into a Indo-Nordic green strategic partnership. And I do hope also that we will see an even stronger collaboration with defense, space, and homeland security, because today's world will be requiring all that. Why should we have restrictions on our sides or constraints when it comes to quantum computing, defense cooperation, and so forth? It's not just a kind of cherry picking for us. It should be much more a common agenda, a common vision. So I hope that with Viksit Bharat, we could also have a kind of Viksit Bharat Nordic in some sense that it has to be seen in that perspective. But India taught me never give up, be optimistic. And India is like water; it will still be floating. There might be big boulders, rocks, creeks, whatever, and even trash blocking the flow of the water. But water will always flow, and so forth. Also, the Indo-Nordic collaboration should be continuing. And I'm proud that I was ambassador for so many years in India, and now I'm retired, but I'm not tired. And therefore, I have a passion for your great nation. And that's why we decided to put up this Indo-Danish Business Council, which is, of course, also supporting companies, not just opening a door, but also hand-holding to the benefit of those who will be benefiting from whatever product service they have. But more importantly, and for me, more importantly, the think tank. How do we give reflections? How do we get thoughts about developing our joint collaboration? That's so important.
Right, Freddy. Thank you so much.
Okay, yeah. Dhanyavad. All the best.
Thank you
Thank you
so
very
much.
much.